The silence was deafening. In dimly lit labs and chalk-covered blackboards, brilliant minds hunched over equations. They held the power of the atom in their hands. A letter arrived with a warning. Albert Einstein and other scientists told President Roosevelt, Hitler might be building something terrible. The world was on the brink of a new kind of destruction. World War II raged. Cities burned in Europe and the Pacific. In the midst of that chaos, a secret race began. The Manhattan Project took shape across the United States. Hidden factories in Tennessee, New Mexico, and Washington worked around the clock. A new kind of war machine. The stakes could not be higher. For years, physicists had glimpsed the horror in lab experiments. They knew splitting one atom could unleash incredible power. Men and women poured everything into the project. Tens of thousands labored under tight security. In Oak Ridge, uranium was enriched. At Hanford, plutonium reactors glowed. In Los Alamos, theorists and engineers pushed physics to its limits. In Los Alamos, J. Robert Oppenheimer felt a chill. They were tampering with forces beyond imagination. Entire towns sprung up overnight, hidden behind barbed wire fences marked top secret. They spoke in hushed tones. They worked feverishly around the clock. No one fully understood what would happen next. The goal? Split the atom and harness its energy as a weapon. The 16th of July, 1945 dawned hot and silent over the New Mexico desert. At 5:30 a.m., there was a blinding flash brighter than 1,000 suns. A mushroom cloud climbed into the sky. The first atomic bomb had been detonated, codenamed Trinity. The men behind it fell silent. The earth shook, and an unspoken truth washed over them. Something had changed forever. Days later, a B-29 bomber named Enola Gay took off from Tinian Island. The 6th of August, 1945. It carried a weapon called Little Boy. On that summer morning, Hiroshima woke to a new kind of dawn, a blinding light. Buildings melted into shadows under the searing heat. Little Boy fell. The world was introduced to total war on an unimaginable scale. An entire city was engulfed in flame. In an instant, lives were erased. Ash and shockwaves raced through the air. 3 days later, another B-29, Boxcar, released the bomb called Fat Man over Nagasaki. A twin flash. A second city destroyed. With those two blasts, World War II came to an end. The cheers of victory were mixed with gasps of horror. In Tokyo, Emperor Hirohito announced Japan's surrender on the 15th of August. People dared to hope, but the dawn of the nuclear age had come. Leaders in Washington confronted the aftermath. President Harry Truman realized the world had changed. He had given the final orders. History's course had been altered. The cost was staggering. Over 100,000 dead at Hiroshima. Tens of thousands more at Nagasaki. The power to annihilate humanity had become real. For a moment, it felt like a lull. Then came the rumble from the north. In 1949, deep in Kazakhstan, the Soviet Union detonated its own atomic bomb. Suddenly, America was no longer alone. The balance of power had shifted. The nuclear arms race was born. In Washington and Moscow, leaders realized they were sitting on a powder keg. The Cold War had gone nuclear. Each side raced to outdo the other. Hydrogen bombs exploded with even greater fury. In 1952, the United States tested Ivy Mike, the first hydrogen bomb. In 1953, the Soviets answered with their own. In 1961, the Soviets unleashed the Tsar Bomba, a 50-megaton explosion that lit up the Arctic sky. It was proof no secret could stay buried. By the late 1950s, nuclear weapons were more powerful than many countries' entire militaries. Thousands of warheads sat ready, each one capable of obliterating cities. Parents taught children to duck and cover. Bomb shelters sprang up in backyards. In the 1960s, fear and politics locked in a deadly dance. In the halls of power, deals and threats were whispered. Leaders preached peace in public while plotting in secret. October 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis. U.S. spy planes discovered Soviet missiles in Cuba. For 13 tense days, the planet held its breath. Kennedy and Khrushchev stared down annihilation. A wrong move could have been the last. By the barest margin, the standoff cooled. Mutually assured destruction mad. An uneasy peace held by terror. Soon, the bomb was no longer an American monopoly. Britain tested its own in 1952, France in 1960, China in 1964. The nuclear secret was contagious. By the 1970s, nuclear proliferation had become a global issue. India and Pakistan acquired nuclear weapons in 1998. North Korea followed suit in 2006. The era of new nuclear powers was underway. Leaders scrambled to contain the threat. In 1968, the Non-Proliferation Treaty was signed. Countries pledged not to spread these weapons further. Treaties and talks came and went. In 1963, the United States and the USSR banned nuclear tests in the atmosphere. Later, a series of SALT and START treaties tried to cap the arms race. But each agreement was frayed by suspicion and mistrust. The bombs stayed. Scientists warned of nuclear winter. A shroud of dust and soot could freeze Earth's surface. On the streets, ordinary people trembled. Peace activists lit candles in city squares. Students chanted for disarmament. The fear of apocalypse haunted imaginations. Behind closed doors, generals prepared for Armageddon. Missiles sat in silos. Bombers fueled on hidden runways. The reality: enough power to wipe out civilization many times over. In the 1970s and 1980s, everyday life still bore the echo of the atomic age. Parents taught kids to duck and cover drills at school. Children drew pictures of mushroom clouds in fear. Comic books and films played out apocalyptic futures. For decades, soldiers joked, "If World War I-II breaks out, see you at Disneyland." Dark humor underpinned daily dread. False alarms almost triggered Armageddon. Once, a mistaken radar signal brought world powers to the brink. Only a tense pause and second thoughts saved the day. In the waning years of the Cold War, a new hope emerged. The Berlin Wall fell in 1989. Summits between Reagan and Gorbachev dismantled missiles. Arms reduction treaties cut warheads by thousands. For a moment, the end of the nuclear age seemed possible. But even with treaties, new fears brewed. For a generation born after the Cold War, nuclear weapons are history, a line in textbooks. Yet they remain very real, locked in vaults and submarines, a silent threat we can never turn away from. Today, we live in the nuclear aftermath. Nuclear technology powers cities, but the line between reactor and bomb is thin. Nations argue over enrichment and sanctions. The weapons remain, but so do the lessons. The memory of that first desert test echoes through history. The history and politics of nuclear weapons is a warning etched in the sky. A tale of invention and horror, of power wrestled into fearsome form. We soared to the stars, but we still carry this ticking clock in our pocket. We are its inheritors, children of the atom's birth. For all its might, we have yet to tame its terror. In quiet moments, we hold our breath. For once you unleash this power, there's no going back. For now, we watch and wait. Every headline and handshake carries weight. The silence stands for now, but history whispers it could end at any moment. And when the silence finally shatters, a new chapter begins, one we must all hope will be different. For now, the pen is in our hands. That is our burden and our choice. For all its promise, nuclear power is a paradox, immense potential and immense peril intertwined. Its legacy is neither hero nor villain, but a stark reminder that some nightmares are real. We all face the same question: will we live in fear or in hope? Until the silence finally breaks, that question hangs in the balance. For now, each generation inherits this legacy. We hold the pen, and the final page is blank. We will write the ending. The world holds its breath.